My ex-husband Jeff thought he could sue me for emotional damage, so I handed him a DNA test proving our daughter isn't his, in front of his new fiancée, at dinner. What he didn't realize? I'd been building that case for years, quietly, precisely, and with chain of custody logs that made his lies collapse in court. He tried to ruin me. Instead, I got full custody of the truth, and he's not getting away this time. It all started at a dinner, in an expensive restaurant. I slid the envelope across the white linen table like it was a tip. He blinked like I was a ghost. "Monica? What are you?" I didn't say a word. He scanned the first page. "DNA results?" he muttered, eyes narrowing. "What the hell is this?" "Naomi isn't your daughter," I said, calm as a storm eye. People at nearby tables went still, their forks hanging midair. Jeff's jaw twitched. "This is a joke. You're trying to ruin my life." "No," I said, just letting it unfold. His fiancée, Tasha, pushed back from the table so fast her chair squeaked. "Wait, you told me Naomi was your daughter." "She is," Jeff shouted, standing up. His voice cracked. "Monica's lying." I looked at the waiter, who'd been frozen nearby with a bottle of Malbec. "Put it on Mr. Reyes's tab." Then I turned and walked out. Let them marinate. Outside, my phone buzzed. One message from Victor. "Test certified and logged. No dispute on chain, you're covered." Good. Because Jeff was about to blow a gasket in court, and I intended to be holding the fire extinguisher. Jeff caught up with me outside, suit jacket flapping, face flushed red like a slapped sunburn. "You humiliated me in front of everyone." "What kind of twisted stunt?" "Public truths sting louder, Jeff," I said, "especially when they've been whispered too long." He waved the envelope in the air like it was radioactive. "This isn't real. You can fake this crap. I've seen TV. Good thing I don't work for TV." I tapped my purse. "Chain of custody's intact. Lab certified. Twice." His voice dropped. "Why now?" That got a smile from me. "Because timing's a science," I said. "And karma? She respects the method." Jeff scoffed, then hissed. "Does Naomi know about this circus?" "She will. When I tell her. Not before, not from you, and not from gossip." His eyes widened like I'd hit him. "You mean she still thinks I'm her dad?" I leaned close. "She thinks the man who raised her lied, cheated, and bailed on her mother by text. She's already questioning plenty." He backed up like I slapped him. "You think you're so righteous? Dropping this like a bomb?" "No," I said. "Bombs are loud. This is forensics. Clean. Precise. Truth leaves residue." He sneered. "You better lawyer up. I'll sue for emotional trauma, fraud, defamation." That actually made me laugh. "You want to put our history under oath? Go for it." I pulled out my phone and showed him a screenshot, his wire transferred to Marissa B. from 2018. "Your hush money trail is longer than my lab reports." He staggered back half a step. His mouth opened. Nothing came out. And right then, Tasha stepped out of the restaurant, heels clicking, face pale. She didn't speak to him. She just looked at me and asked, "Did you know before tonight?" I nodded once, then she turned and walked toward her car. 15 years ago, I stood in my mother's living room, staring at two blue lines. Jeff was already halfway out the door, grinning like he'd dodged a bullet. Then my mother stepped in. "You marry her," she told him, "or your mother will be planning a funeral instead of a baby shower." Jeff blinked, swallowed hard, and nodded. I should have run then, but I was 19, scared, and stupid. He promised it'd be okay, that he'd settle down, get his license, start his real estate career. I told myself he was just immature, not cruel. Our wedding had Costco cake and his cousin DJing off a phone. He showed up 40 minutes late, smelling like cologne I didn't own. Naomi came 6 months later. Jet black hair, fist-sized lungs, eyes like a lie detector. Jeff took pictures, posted them, didn't hold her once that first day. By the time she turned 3, he'd perfected the disappearing act. Always a showing, or a client emergency. I knew he was cheating, but proving it meant nothing. I had no money, no backup, and a daughter to protect. So I worked nights at the county forensics lab, ran toxicology kits and rape panels, while Naomi slept on a beanbag in the break room. I got my certifications, my licenses, my private consultant clearance. Jeff never asked what I did all night. He was too busy playing the doting husband at school events and hiding burner phones in his sock drawer. I stayed. Not for him, for her. And because I had a plan. A year ago, I overheard Jeff laughing on the phone with one of his buddies, door half cracked, bourbon in hand. "You know what the trick is," he said, slurring just enough. "Never get caught. Play the long game. She never questions anything." He meant me. I stood in the hallway, teeth clenched so hard I tasted blood. That was the night I pulled Naomi's hairbrush from her bathroom and logged my first sample. I didn't want to believe it, but I had to know. For her. For me. I swabbed, sealed, logged, took it to my off-book lab partner, Victor. He ran the first test, quietly, carefully. "Monica," he said, reading the results. "There's no match. He's not the father." I didn't speak for a full minute. My ears buzzed like feedback. "Run it again," I said. He did. 3 times. Different systems. Different markers. Same result. Victor looked me dead in the eye. "You want to know who is?" I shook my head. "Not yet." Because the name didn't matter. Not to me. What mattered was that Jeff had built his life, his ego, his little family man narrative, on a complete lie. And I was the only one who knew. I started pulling records. Naomi's hospital file had a strange notation. Father information marked unconfirmed. Probably slipped past him during intake. Probably didn't care enough to read it. I cross-checked dates, pulled screenshots from old emails, saved every voicemail Jeff ever left on my phone. I wasn't planning a confrontation. I was building a case. And Jeff? He was too busy treating Tasha like a prize he won. He served me divorce papers via text. 2 words. "It's over." No warning. Just drained the joint account and vanished. So I picked up the envelope, the one I'd sealed months ago, and I made a dinner reservation under the name Reyes. Jeff filed the lawsuit the same week Tasha moved out. Emotional distress, fraud, reputation damage. I got the court summons while checking inventory at the lab. Victor read it over my shoulder and whistled. "He really wants this on record?" "Oh, he's gonna get records," I said, flipping to the attachments. He wanted to bury me in paperwork. Paint me as some vindictive ex-wife who raised another man's child on his dime. But I was done playing defense, so I filed a countersuit. Included in my submission. Itemized record of Jeff's hush payments to 2 other women. Chain of custody logs from my lab confirming Naomi's DNA results. A certified copy of Naomi's birth certificate showing father, unverified. And a typed transcript of a voicemail Jeff left for his then-mistress, Marissa, dated 6 months ago. Victor played the voicemail in his office as we prepped exhibits. Jeff's voice crackled through the speaker. "She's not mine anyway. I'm free now." Victor blinked. He said that out loud? Into a phone? Like I said, I smiled. He thinks he's smarter than everyone. The court date came fast. He showed up in a navy suit and too much cologne, flanked by his hotshot attorney. Tasha wasn't with him. I walked in alone. Wore navy too. Not to match. To dominate. Naomi wasn't in the room yet. The judge had ordered her testimony last. Thank God. Jeff's lawyer tried to grandstand about emotional betrayal. He claimed years of deception and mental anguish. Talked about how Jeff raised a daughter not his own without consent. I waited until they were out of breath. Then I submitted the audio file. The courtroom went so still, I could hear the bailiff shift in his chair. The judge played it once, then again. Jeff turned a shade of gray I hadn't seen before. The judge cleared his throat. "We'll now hear from the minor child, Naomi Reyes." She walked in with her head high, and her earbuds tucked in her hoodie pocket. No makeup, chipped nail polish, and that same wary glare she's had since age 9, when Jeff missed her piano recital to meet a buyer and showed up smelling like someone else's perfume. She didn't look at me. She didn't look at Jeff. "Please state your name for the record," the clerk prompted. "Naomi Reyes, 15, sophomore. Do you understand why you're here?" She nodded. "Because people keep lying and blaming each other, and somehow, I'm the evidence." The judge paused. "Can you tell us about your relationship with your parents?" Naomi blinked. "Mom raised me. Dad, Jeff, took pictures." Jeff's lawyer shifted, already uneasy. "Do you recall any conversations with Mr. Reyes about your paternity?" Naomi frowned. "He used to joke I didn't look like him, said my real dad must have had better hair. I thought it was just him being dumb. Did he ever directly question if you were his biological daughter? Her voice dropped. Not to my face. But I heard him once, yelling on the phone. He said, "She's not even mine." Then the door slammed. Jeff squirmed in his seat, face twisted like he smelled sour milk. Did you talk to your mother about it? Naomi finally looked at me. Not with anger, just hollow confusion. I asked if it was true. She said we'd talk when the time was right. That she wanted me to have all the facts, not just pain. And did she give you the facts? Naomi hesitated. Not yet. Do you want to know? A long pause. Her lip trembled. But then she sat up straighter. I want to know who lied. That's it. I don't care about DNA. I care about truth. The courtroom held its breath. Jeff's attorney cleared his throat. Let the record show. This child has been emotionally manipulated. Naomi cut in. No one manipulated me. I've lived with both of them. I know who tells the truth. The judge raised a hand. Thank you, Naomi. You may be excused. She stood, walked right past Jeff without looking at him, stopped in front of me. You should have told me, she whispered. Is my whole life just a science project to you? No, I whispered back. It's the only reason I kept going. She left before I could say more, and I couldn't follow. Not here. Jeff leaned across the table, voice a hiss. You broke her. I didn't blink. She's not broken. She's finally free to stop pretending you ever cared. The judge looked over his glasses. We've heard enough. The court finds no basis for Mr. Reyes's emotional distress claim, and no fraud committed by Mrs. Reyes. In fact, he tapped the files. Mr. Reyes's submitted financial evidence suggests a pattern of deceit and infidelity. This court recommends all future matters involving the child go through family court, not civil litigation. Jeff's mouth dropped open. You're siding with her? No, the judge said. I'm siding with the evidence. And your own voice. Bang. Gavel. Done. I didn't gloat. I didn't smile. I just gathered my file, nodded at Victor, and walked out. Outside the courthouse, Naomi sat on the steps, arms wrapped around her knees. I sat down next to her. Quiet. After a minute, she said, So who's my real dad? I don't know, I answered honestly. I didn't want to find out unless you wanted to. Another beat. Then, okay, let's find out. Together. 3 days after the verdict, Jeff's brokerage issued a single, sterile press release. Effective immediately, Jeffrey Reyes is no longer affiliated with Reyes and Dalton Realty Group. We wish him the best in his future endeavors. Translation, they booted him so hard, his access badge didn't even work the next morning. Victor forwarded me the company email thread. Turns out, Jeff's voicemail from the court recording made it to 2 real estate blogs and a local podcast that covers downfalls of the high and mighty. He was internet infamous by lunch. Clients canceled listings. The office manager texted him, We don't tolerate bad press. You're done here. And just like that, Mr. Top Producer in the Tri-County area became Mr. Deleted LinkedIn Profile. Naomi saw it on her phone before I could tell her. She sat on the edge of her bed, screen glowing blue across her face. They really fired him? They distanced themselves, I said. People care more about optics than apologies. She scrolled, then asked, Is that why you waited? So his career would tank? No, I said, kneeling. I waited so the truth wouldn't drown in his performance, so it would stand alone. She looked at me, eyes raw. I'm not changing who I am, I braced. But I don't want his name anymore. I blinked. You want to change it? She nodded. I want yours. Officially, I want to belong to the person who showed up. My throat burned. I pulled her close. We filed the paperwork that week. Naomi Reyes became Naomi Elena Santos, my birth name. She said it felt like shedding skin. Jeff, meanwhile, tried to do damage control. He texted her once, I'm still your dad. Don't let her erase me. She left him on read. Then he emailed me, You'll regret poisoning her against me. I'm still her legal father until that changes. Victor helped me draft the reply. We quoted the judge, included a copy of the name change petition, and attached the moral clause from Jeff's old brokerage contract, just in case he felt litigious. He didn't reply. But that was fine. I wasn't done yet. Because my lab, the one I'd quietly built after hours, we'd just landed a new corporate contract. full-service background screening for real estate licensing across 3 states. Guess who'd have to go through my lab if he ever wanted to work again? We hosted the lab expansion launch on a Thursday evening, just a little after sunset, just before the gossip blogs caught up. Victor set out decent wine, good cheese, and those mini eclairs he swears by. Nothing fancy, just clean, sharp, and steady. Like the work we do. I wore navy again. It's become my armor. Naomi hovered near the refreshments in black jeans and a cropped blazer, the name badge reading Naomi E. Santos like it had always been there. She looked taller somehow, more anchored. Victor clinked a glass halfway through the evening and said, "We wouldn't be here without Monica Reyes. She's proof that truth doesn't always shout, it just endures." People clapped. I nodded, not much for speeches. Then, to my surprise, Naomi stepped up to the mic. Her voice didn't tremble. Not once. "When I was little, my mom would run lab samples after midnight," she said. "She'd bring me juice boxes and sit me on a spinning chair while she analyzed blood and bone and bacteria. I thought it was gross, but I didn't know she was teaching me something." She looked over at me. "She taught me how to wait, how to ask questions, how to let facts walk ahead of feelings. And when the time came, she taught me how to hold the scalpel without drawing blood." A few gasps, a few sniffles. She smiled. Truth isn't loud, but it's permanent. Just like DNA. The room clapped harder that time. Victor handed me a tissue before I could pretend not to need one. Later that night, Naomi and I walked the building after everyone left, double-checking locks and systems. Just habit. She paused by the front door. "So what now?" she asked. "Now we run the business, serve clients, build slow and steady." She tilted her head. "And if he applies here?" I smiled. "Then he'll have to sign a form that says, 'I consent to this lab verifying the accuracy of my background.'" Naomi laughed, full-throated for the first time in weeks. "That's cold," she said. "It's science," I replied, "and a little bit of justice." 3 months passed. The gossip died down. Naomi settled into her new name like a favorite hoodie. My lab expanded. 2 more analysts, a new server, and a regional contract for licensed professional screenings. Victor and I took turns running interviews. One Tuesday morning, I opened my inbox and froze halfway through my coffee. Subject line: "New applicant, Jeffrey Reyes." I blinked, sipped, blinked again. There it was. His name, submitted through a partner platform we now serviced. He'd applied for a brokerage license reinstatement in Louisiana, which now, thanks to a new regulation, required lab-verified ID and background processing. Through my lab. I didn't delete it. I didn't forward it. I filed it where it belonged. Standard protocol. That afternoon, I ran the background screen myself. It came back, colorful. 3 flagged discrepancies. A sealed civil suit related to a non-disclosure agreement, Tasha's. A bounced alimony payment flagged in an adjacent state. And a public disciplinary notice from his previous firm, marked "Resigned pending investigation." All of which would be cross-checked, documented, and returned to the licensing board. No comments from me, no flair, just facts. 3 days later, I got a call from a licensing rep. "Hey, Monica. Just a heads up. Your applicant flagged high priority. He's requested a manual review. Name? Jeffrey Reyes." My mouth barely twitched. "I see it here. We're compiling." "Great. Oh, and he asked if he could come in. Said he wanted to clarify some things in person." "Did he know whose lab this was?" "No clue, I think." "Should I schedule him?" "Absolutely." The following Tuesday, Jeff walked into my lobby at 9:02 a.m. in a blazer that didn't quite fit and a smile that definitely didn't belong. His eyes scanned the office, then stopped when he saw me behind the counter. He froze, like someone pressed pause. "Monica?" he said, stunned. This is your?" "Yes," I said. "Welcome to Reyes Santos Labs. Please have a seat." He didn't move for a full 10 seconds. Then he sat slowly, awkwardly. "I didn't know you ran this place," he muttered. "We're contracted for all real estate screenings now," I said, flipping through the intake. "Standard protocol. Background check. ID verification. Professional history." He cleared his throat. Look, some of those things in my file, they're out of context. I didn't blink. We don't edit context. We document data. He exhaled through his nose. You really gonna tank me over this? This lab doesn't make decisions, I said calmly. We report truth. You remember truth, Jeff? He flinched. This is personal. No, I said. This is certified. Your file will be delivered with every discrepancy noted. What the board does with it. Not my call. He leaned forward, voice dropping. Naomi knows I'm trying, right? That I'm not the bad guy? I looked him square. She knows you sent a text to end your marriage. She knows you tried to sue me to save your image. She knows you told someone she wasn't yours, before you told her. He looked away. I slid the release form across the table. Sign here to authorize processing, or walk away. He stared at the form, then at me. Finally, he scribbled his name. Sloppy. Resigned. As he left, he said, You always were cold. I looked up once. No, I said. I'm precise. And precision outlasts ego. The door shut behind him. I filed the form, flagged it as reviewed, delivered it to the board without a single opinion. Just the truth. Exactly what he never could handle. Naomi brought it up one night while we were slicing strawberries for French toast. So, she said casually, can your lab tell me who my biological dad is? I paused, knife in midair. Yes, it can, she nodded. Then let's find out where I come from. I'm ready. I didn't ask if she was sure. I just pulled up the encrypted vault where I'd stored the secondary analysis, mitochondrial markers, autosomal breakdown, the works. I'd never looked deeper than paternity mismatch, out of respect. But now she wanted the truth. We submitted her DNA to the extended genealogy database, not the public one. Too messy. Ours. Controlled. Quiet. Professional. Victor ran the match algorithm personally, cross-referenced the Y chromosome proxies against regional samples, and filtered for shared surname regions. It took 3 days. On the 4th, I got a ping. Naomi, I said that evening, sitting across from her at the kitchen island. We have a name. Her eyebrows rose. She didn't flinch. Does it mean anything to you? I hesitated. No, I never knew him well. It was one night, a college party before everything with Jeff started. She nodded slowly. Was he a bad guy? No, I said, honest and sure. He was probably the only guy the first ever met back then who listened more than he talked. But I was too young, and life moved fast. Do you know where he is now? Victor had pulled the last known address. An optometrist. Married. 2 kids. Still in Texas. I have an address? I haven't contacted him. Naomi sat quiet for a long time. Then she said, Can I write him a letter? Of course. She spent a week drafting it. Handwritten. 1 page. No guilt. No blame. Just the facts. Her name. Her age. That she was the daughter of someone he knew once, and that she wanted nothing but answers if he was willing to give them. I mailed it from the lab so it wouldn't come back to our home address. 2 weeks later, an envelope came addressed to Naomi E. Santos. She opened it at the kitchen table with hands that didn't shake. Inside, a note, short and respectful. Dear Naomi, yes, I remember your mother. She was kind. If I am your father, I would be honored to speak with you. At your pace and only if you wish. You are not a disruption. You are a miracle I never expected. Naomi didn't cry. She smiled. Small, soft. Then she said, I want to meet him. They met at a botanical garden. Naomi's choice. Said she wanted something quiet but alive. I parked nearby and watched her walk in alone, clutching the same canvas tote she's taken to every therapy session. Inside was a journal, her phone, and the original DNA match printout, folded twice. He was already waiting on a bench near the butterfly exhibit. Late 40s, neat beard, corduroy blazer in Texas heat, bold move. When he stood, I watched his eyes soften like someone trying to remember a dream. Naomi approached slowly, didn't offer a hug, didn't flinch, just stood in front of him with her chin slightly lifted. You look like someone I used to pray I hadn't forgotten, he said. And just like that, I knew she'd be okay. I stayed outside the gate, let her have that space. That story. They walked for 2 hours. Didn't rush it. She texted once. We're good. Later that night, she came home humming, sat on the couch beside me and kicked her shoes off without a word. Then she said, "He's kind, nervous, has a weird laugh. You like him?" "I think I could," she replied. "He didn't try to make it about him." "Good," I said. "That's a start." She glanced at me. "He said you were the smartest girl in that dorm, that he always wondered what happened to you." I shrugged. "I happened to myself." She leaned her head on my shoulder. "Thanks for letting me go alone." "That's how wings work," I whispered. We didn't say anything else that night, but something heavy in her had lifted. The way she moved, the way she carried herself. It was lighter. Not healed, but healing. And that was enough. Meanwhile, Jeff had gone quiet. No more emails, no more threats. His application was denied by the licensing board, flagged for integrity concern, and when someone Googled him now, the first page of results didn't mention home sales. It mentioned his own voice, declaring a child, "Not mine." Karma doesn't always wear combat boots. Sometimes she wears latex gloves and fills out chain of custody forms. It came in a pale green envelope with no return address, postmarked Baton Rouge. Inside, a folded note and a photo. Tasha. I hadn't heard from her since the night she stormed out of the restaurant, heels clicking like a verdict. I figured she'd deleted us both from her life, but her handwriting was careful, tight, like someone still deciding how loud to speak. "Monica, you don't owe me anything, but I wanted to say something anyway. When I met Jeff, he told me you were emotionally cold, that you'd checked out years ago. He said he stayed for your daughter's sake. He said he was lonely. He said you were cruel. I believed him. But watching you that night, sliding that envelope across the table without raising your voice, that wasn't cold. That was clarity. I didn't know I was helping you, but I'm glad I did. P.S. I left him before the voicemail ever aired. You were just the last push I needed. Stay sharp. Claire T." The photo she'd enclosed was from months before. A candid, Tasha and Jeff at some wine bar. He was grinning. She wasn't. I tore it once, diagonally. Then again. Dropped the pieces in the shred bin at the lab. Not from anger. From completion. She'd found her way out. I respected that. Not all traps are metal and locks. Some wear cologne and carry charming business cards. Victor found me in the break room later and handed me an espresso. "You good?" I nodded. "Just finished a loop." He sipped his drink. "You know what I admire about you? I hope it's my tax compliance." He smirked. "No. It's the way you win. Clean. Quiet. Thorough." I raised my paper cup. "To clean wins." He clinked his against mine. "To the ones who don't see it coming." Naomi packed a weekend bag like she was heading to a science fair. Clipboard, phone charger, 3 pens, 2 notebooks. Nervous, but focused. She was going to meet her biological father's family. "They invited me for lunch," she said, double-checking her bus schedule. "Just them and the dog. No pressure. You okay?" I asked, handing her an extra set of printed directions. She nodded. "I don't need a full rewrite, just a few new pages." She had her own language now, steady, sharp. My girl, her biological father, Daniel, had texted twice a week since their first meeting. Never overstepped. Always asked what she wanted. Even offered to meet me, though I wasn't ready. That didn't matter. What mattered was how Naomi felt after every call with him. Grounded. She came back that Sunday with a tote full of home-baked cookies and a new photo on her phone. Daniel, his wife, their 2 kids, and Naomi standing in the middle. Not quite touching, but not distant either. A real photo. One she smiled at before locking the screen. "He listens a lot," she said, slipping her shoes off. "Like, really listens, even when I don't talk." "That's a good trait in a man," I said. "Maybe it skips a generation," she joked, then gave me a look. "Too soon?" Perfect timing. We ordered takeout that night, something greasy and unscientific, and halfway through her egg roll she said, "You ever think about dating again?" I nearly choked on my tea. I haven't had a moment to think about anything not ending in a DNA swab. She grinned. "Well, maybe soon. You've done your time?" It hit me then. She wasn't just healing. She was watching me for cues, for how to move forward without bitterness. So I nodded. Maybe soon. And for the first time in years, I meant it. Not because I needed anyone to complete me, but because I'd finally cleared the debris of someone who never did. It was a Wednesday. Quiet morning. Victor was doing chain of custody audits, and I was elbow deep in training modules for our new hire. Then Maya, our front desk assistant, leaned in and whispered, "You're not gonna believe who just tried to get access to the screening portal." I looked up. "Who?" She turned her monitor. "Jeffrey Reyes. Again. Not applying for licensing this time, applying for a job as a real estate compliance consultant. And the kicker? The job listing was through a third-party firm, which now required all onboarding candidates to pass a verified background check through our lab. It was beautiful. Victor whistled low when I told him. He either has the memory of a fruit fly or the audacity of a Bond villain. Both, I said, but we'll treat him like every other applicant. We ran the check. Again, the red flags popped up like clockwork. Unresolved professional discipline, failure to disclose prior employment termination, financial judgment in small claims. I attached the standard report. No commentary, no flair, just the checkbox. Applicant has prior integrity violations flagged. The file got submitted to the consulting firm's HR portal. 2 days later, I got a call from one of their managers. "Hi, we're following up on a candidate. Jeffrey Reyes. Your report was enlightening." I waited. "We'll be rescinding the offer. He's been trying to spin this as a misunderstanding." I stayed neutral. "We simply report data. Best of luck to you." Later that night, an anonymous email came through our website form. "You've made it your mission to ruin me. Congrats. Hope it was worth it." I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Because karma doesn't always roar. Sometimes it files paperwork, checks a box, and hits submit. The lab was closed for maintenance that Friday, but Naomi came by anyway. She had keys now. Said the space helped her think. I found her in the records room, feet kicked up on a file cabinet, reading an old forensic journal like it was a beach novel. She looked up and said, "You know, if you hadn't been so good at staying quiet, none of this would have worked." "Quiet doesn't mean passive," I said. "It just means I waited for the facts to catch up." She nodded. "You gave me science. But you also gave me silence. Space to feel things out, not be rushed." I leaned on the doorframe. "You gave yourself that. I just made sure no one interrupted." She flipped the journal closed. "Daniel invited me to meet his mom. She crocheted me a scarf. Looks like a toaster cover." "That's how you know it's sincere," I said. She grinned. "I'm thinking of interning here this summer. Not because you're my mom. Because I like the truth." That one landed square in the center of my chest. "You'd be overqualified in 6 weeks. Better than being over-explained for 15 years. She stood, stretched, then added, "I still remember when you told me the truth. You didn't cry. You didn't defend it. You just let it sit. I was scared you'd hate me. I was scared I'd break. But I didn't. Because you didn't." We walked out of the lab together, locked the doors, set the alarm. Routine, but sacred now. The sky was starting to bruise purple, that Gulf Coast twilight, always dramatic. Naomi looked at the clouds and said, "So what now?" I smiled. "Now? We live like people who don't owe anyone a cover story." She linked her arm through mine as we crossed the parking lot. No grand finale. No thunderclap. Just footsteps, side by side, leaving behind what never deserved us.